you choose the right sales tax professional to help your business? If you've ever searched for help with sales tax, you've probably realized there are a lot of options, and they're not all the same. On one side, there are sales tax software platforms. These are the tools that automate calculations, prepare returns, or connect to your shopping cart. They're the technology. Then there are sales tax providers, the people behind the platforms, the experts who actually manage the process, interpret the laws, and represent you when something goes wrong. Software can automate part of the process, but it can't replace real human experience. That's why having the right sales tax provider in your corner matters so much, especially if your business grows or if you're ever audited. To help you choose wisely, there are 3 questions you should always ask when you're evaluating a sales tax professional or provider. First, what is your approach if we uncover any historical liabilities in any states? This is one of the most important questions you can ask because it tells you a lot about how the firm views compliance, their depth of expertise, and how proactive they'll be if issues arise. When we say historical liabilities, we're talking about sales tax that should have been collected in the past but wasn't, often because a business didn't realize it had nexus in a particular state. A good sales tax professional should have a clear, thoughtful process for helping you handle those liabilities. If you ask this question and they give you a vague answer, something like, "We'll figure it out when we get there," that's a red flag. A knowledgeable firm will mention tools like voluntary disclosure agreements or VDAs and penalty waivers, and they'll explain how they determine which option makes the most sense based on your level of exposure. Ideally, their answer should sound something like this. If we discover historical liabilities, we'll assess your exposure in each state and determine whether a voluntary disclosure agreement or backdated registration makes the most sense. Our goal is to minimize penalties and bring you into compliance as cleanly as possible. That kind of answer shows you they understand the lay of the land, the difference between being reactive and being strategic. It also tells you they're familiar with the process of working directly with the state departments of revenue, something a pure software company won't be able to do. The second question is to ask this: if I work with you and I'm audited by a state, do you handle that process on my behalf? This is a critical question that separates software tools from true sales tax partners. Audits can happen to any business, even if you've done everything right. Sometimes it's a random selection. Other times, it's because the state noticed an inconsistency in your filing. When that happens, you want to have someone in your corner who understands how to communicate with the state, how to respond to document requests, and how to ensure the process goes smoothly. If you ask the question and the person hesitates or says something like, "We can provide your records, but we don't actually handle audits," that's a sign they're likely a software-only provider. That means you'd be on your own if a state ever contacted you for an audit. A good answer, on the other hand, is straightforward and confident. Yes, if you're ever audited, we'll handle the process on your behalf. We'll communicate with the state, gather necessary documents, and represent your business throughout the audit. That response tells you they're not just providing a filing service, they're offering true representation. Having a professional who can handle audits for you provides peace of mind and ensures you're not left scrambling if that letter from the Department of Revenue ever shows up in your inbox. The third question to ask is this: can you help me with something specific to my business, like product taxability or a niche sales scenario? This final suggestion takes a slightly different approach, and it might require a bit of research on your part. This question is designed to test their depth of expertise, not just the salesperson you're talking to. Here's the idea. Ask them a question that's specific to your business and slightly nuanced, something a sales rep likely won't know offhand. For example, how would my bundled transactions be taxed in New York if one item is taxable and the other is exempt? If I attend a trade show in Colorado, does that create nexus there? Does having resellers or affiliates in other states create nexus for my business? These kinds of questions are great because they reveal how the team operates behind the scenes. Pay attention to how quickly they get back to you and how accurate their answer is. If you already know the right answer, even better. You'll see whether they're on the same page and how carefully they handle the details. A strong sales tax provider might say, "That's a great question. Let me double check that with our research team and get back to you." Then a day or two later, you should receive a thoughtful sourced answer that clearly explains the reasoning. That tells you the provider has real professionals on staff, not just salespeople or generalists, and they know how to navigate complex state-by-state issues. If the response is slow, vague, or inaccurate, that's a good indicator of what working with them long-term might look like. But here's why these three questions matter. Sales tax is one of those areas where the details are so important. Having the right provider, not just the right software, can be the difference between peace of mind and costly surprises down the road. When you ask these three questions, you're not just checking a box. You're testing how experienced, responsive, and transparent that provider really is. The best firms don't just calculate or file, they advise, represent, and protect their clients. So before you commit to any sales tax partner, ask, how will they help you handle historical liabilities? Will they stand by you during an audit? And do they understand the nuances of your specific business? If you get confident, clear, and thoughtful answers to all three, you're likely in good hands. And if they have no clue what a nexus footprint is, run away fast. Because after you watch this next video, you'll know Nexus better than they do. If you want to work with a team that not only files but also stands behind the work, that's exactly what we do at Hands Off Sales Tax. We know how to answer these three questions and provide the right guidance. Reach out if you have questions.